Okay, so today we're tackling something that, well, let's be real, a lot of folks would rather avoid, but it's important. We're talking about getting your ducks in a row for those golden years, and I don't just mean your retirement fund.
You're right. It's about so much more than that.
It really is. It's about making sure you've got everything squared away, to make life a little smoother for you and your loved ones down the road.
Absolutely. It's about having a plan, taking control, especially as a senior here in Florida, so things are done your way.
100%. And to help us break this whole thing down, we're diving into some resources today. We've got some interesting stuff from lifeinsuranceorlandoflorida.com, and then there's this really handy pre-planning checklist for Florida seniors that we're going to dig into.
What's fascinating to me is how specific these resources are. I mean, we're not just talking about pre-planning in general. This is all about the unique ins and outs, the quirks even, of doing it right here in Florida.
It's like a hyper-local guide to your own farewell tour, right?
Exactly.
So let's talk about the woman behind all this for a second. Jen Veirs. She wears a lot of hats. Insurance agent, pre-need specialist, speaker. But get this, she also used to teach Sunday school.
Oh, wow. Okay, I see where you're going with it.
I don't know about you, but that just screams approachable to me.
It does. And honestly, when you're dealing with, something as potentially heavy as end-of-life planning, having someone who can break it down simply and with empathy makes a world of difference.
Huge difference. And speaking of things that make a difference, Jen's got this awesome freebie on her site, the Peace of Mind Checklist. Now, I'm always here for a good freebie, but this one's seriously useful. Whether you're just dipping your toes into pre-planning or you've already got a head start, it's a great roadmap.
It's fantastic because it takes what can feel like this giant, overwhelming task and breaks it down into manageable steps.
Exactly. So let's crack this checklist open. The first section is vital information. Seems pretty basic, right? Name, address, phone number. But it actually goes way deeper than that.
Oh, absolutely. Because think about it. When your loved ones are dealing with, the whirlwind after a loss, just having those seemingly little things like previous addresses or family medical history readily available, it can be essential for things like settling estates or even just navigating medical records.
It's like you don't realize how important those little details are until you need them.
Exactly.
And that actually leads perfectly into the next section, medical history. This feels especially relevant here in Florida, with so many seniors, each facing their own health needs.
And this is where Jen's expertise as a pre-need specialist really shines through. It's not just about having insurance, it's about understanding how your medical needs and wishes play into your overall plan.
Right, because it all ties together. Okay, now, the memories and instructions section. This is where things got really interesting for me. Ethical wills, online accounts, instructions for, well, everything. It's like, who knew there was so much to think about?
And that's what I love about this checklist. It gets you thinking about aspects of your life that, honestly, most people don't even realize need attention. Like, have you ever even heard of an ethical will before?
To be honest, not really. Tell me more.
It's so cool. Basically, it's a way to pass down your values, maybe some life lessons, even just your final wishes to your loved ones, but in a way that's separate from your legal will. It's about the stuff you can't really put a price tag on, like an emotional inheritance.
Wow, I've never even thought about that.
And then you think about those digital assets, right? Social media, online banking, all your accounts. This checklist gets you thinking about what happens to them, how your loved ones can access them if they need to.
It's like you're tying up loose ends, but digital ones, the kind that could cause headaches or even heartache for your family later on. And speaking of specific needs, I noticed there's a whole section in here just for veterans' burial benefits.
Yes, this is so important. And you can really see Jen's commitment to serving veterans in this section. Navigating those benefits can be so tricky, and this section makes sure that those who served get the recognition and support they deserve.
Right, it's about honoring that service. Okay, and then there's this last section, personal reflections. And I have to admit, it kind of caught me off guard. We're talking about a checklist here, right? But this section is all about you, your thoughts, feelings, memories, things you can't exactly capture on a form.
I love this part. It's like it brings this human element to the whole pre-planning process, which can feel so clinical otherwise, It's about telling your story, making sure your voice is heard, even after you're gone.
It's like you're leaving behind a roadmap, but instead of just directions, there are little notes about the scenery and the stops you made along the way. I like that. So we've covered some key parts of this checklist, but how does Jen Veirs actually fit into all of this?
Oh, that's where the rubber meets the road. But we're actually going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll dive into how Jen Veirs can help you tackle all of these pre-planning needs we've been talking about. Don't go anywhere. So before the break, we were looking at Jen Veirs' peace of mind checklist.
Which is, like, crazy thorough.
Right. But it's just the first step.
Totally. Like having all the ingredients for a gourmet meal, but you still need someone who actually knows how to cook to, work their magic.
Exactly. That's where Jen comes in. She helps you take all that info, all those wishes you have, maybe even some of the fears, and she helps you make it real.
Yeah. Turns it into an actual plan.
Exactly. Because let's be honest, pre-planning, especially here in Florida, it can be kind of a jungle to navigate.
Oh, tell me about it, especially when it comes to probate, right? I've heard some nightmare stories.
Probate can be a real mess.
Families fighting, assets tied up in court for years.
Exactly. And that's why having someone like Jen, who gets the legal stuff, but also understands that there's this whole emotional side to it all, it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not just about boxes to check on a form. It's about navigating a system that can feel pretty heartless sometimes.
For sure. And speaking of heart, one thing I really noticed on Jen's website, lifeinsuranceorlandoflorida.com, was this emphasis on making sure insurance is actually doable, especially for seniors who maybe aren't too thrilled about their health history.
Yeah. She actually offers a guaranteed product, and get this, no medical exam required.
That's huge.
It can be a game changer for seniors who, let's face it, who wants another medical exam. Especially if you're worried about being turned down because of pre-existing conditions.
Talk about peace of mind, right?
Exactly. It's like this weight off your shoulders, knowing you've got that taken care of.
And it goes back to what we were saying about making things easier for your loved ones, right? Having that insurance policy, it can be the difference between a family that's struggling financially after a loss and one that can actually focus on healing.
Absolutely. It's like this final act of love, in a way,
Yeah.
Taking care of the financial stuff so your family doesn't have to.
So they can just be present in the moment.
Exactly.
I love that. It takes something that can feel kind of, morbid to think about and turns it into something really beautiful, a real act of caring.
That's exactly what it is. It's about providing for the people you love.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting because Jen actually uses the word gift on her website when she's talking about insurance. She sees it as this way to protect and care for your loved ones even after you're gone.
I love that. It's a gift. That's a great way to put it.
And it's so important to reframe it like that because I think it helps people get past maybe the awkwardness or the discomfort of even talking about end-of-life stuff.
Yeah.
It lets you see it as this positive thing.
It's about taking control.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
And speaking of taking control, we touched on the memories and instructions part of the checklist earlier. I think we should circle back to that.
Okay, yeah, let's get it.
That's where it gets really personal, right? Like that ethical will.
Yeah.
That's powerful stuff.
It is. But okay, let's get practical for a second. For those listening who are like, okay, this digital legacy thing, how do I even wrap my head around that?
It's a great question. And honestly, it's one people don't think about enough. I think a good starting point is just taking inventory. What do you have? Online banking, social media, email accounts, anything you pay for online that you'd want canceled. Get it all down.
Make a list.
Got it. Exactly. And once you have that list, then you can think about, okay, what do I want to happen to this stuff? Do I want this account closed? Should this one be memorialized somehow? Or do I want to pass this one on to someone?
Right, because they're options.
And then once you know what you want, write it down. Put those instructions directly in your account settings if you can, or create a document, something your loved ones can easily access.
It's like we're so used to thinking about the physical stuff we leave behind, right?
Yeah, like photo albums or jewelry.
Exactly. But these days, our digital stuff, that's like its own kind of legacy.
It is. And it makes sense to treat it that way.
Yeah.
It's important to someone. Think about it. You wouldn't want your grandma's antique locket to get lost, right?
Right.
So why would you treat your online memories or important documents any differently? You got to make sure someone knows what to do with it all.
It's about having a say even after you're gone.
Yes.
Making sure those wishes are followed, whether it's something practical or something really personal.
Exactly. And that's where, someone like Jen can be such a huge help. She gets the techie stuff, but she also understands that this is about real people and real emotions.
It's like having a guide, but also someone who gets it, you know?
Absolutely. Someone who speaks the language, whether it's legal jargon or, just the stuff people are afraid to talk about.
Yeah. Because even with the best checklist, this whole process, facing your own mortality, it can be kind of overwhelming, to say the least.
For sure. It can bring up a lot for people. But having someone there with you, someone who can answer your questions and make you feel less alone, it makes all the difference.
Totally. So it's not just about, like, checking things off a to-do list. It's about something bigger.
It really is. It's about giving yourself permission to think about these things and to make choices that feel right for you.
So as we wrap things up today, I keep coming back to this idea of peace of mind, but in a whole new way.
It hits different in this context, doesn't it?
It does. Because it's not just about knowing your bills are paid. It's about knowing that you've done what you can to make this whole process easier for you and everyone you love.
Yes, 100%. And knowing that your wishes are going to be honored, no drama, no confusion, just love.
Exactly. Well said. It's like facing the future with this sense of, I don't know, calm, because you've done the work.
You've taken control, and honestly, it's never too early to start thinking about this stuff. Even if you're not ready to, like, dive headfirst into pre-planning, just having these conversations, dipping your toes in, it can be really powerful.
It's like they always say, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago.
Right.
But the second best time is now.
Exactly. Don't wait until, something happens and forces your hand. Take charge, get it done, and enjoy that peace of mind.
I love it. And on that note, we'll leave you with this. What really resonated with you today? Was it the paperwork, that ethical will we talked about? Whatever it is, let it be the thing that kickstarts your own pre-planning journey.
And remember, you don't have to go it alone. Reach out to Jen Veirs at lifeinsuranceorlandoflorida.com. She's amazing. She can help you figure it all out.
She can be your guide. All right, everyone, until next time, take care.